After releasing Joey Bosa, the Chargers need to fill the gap in their defense as early as possible and do so effectively. Releasing Bosa has created $25.36 million in additional cap space for the Chargers, putting them at nearly $90 million in cap space. This means they have enough capital to sign multiple resources. Moreover, the Chargers still have the opportunity to make further roster adjustments to increase their cap space even more. So let's take a look at how the Chargers can further increase their cap space and explore the available options in free agency to replace Bosa. Keep in mind, the Chargers are on the path to becoming serious Super Bowl contenders, so they need to make every decision carefully. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. So, if the Chargers cut right guard Trey Pipkins and running back Gus Edwards, they'd save almost $10 million combined. Pipkins might lose his spot on the starting offensive line anyway if the team plans to bring in more guards through free agency. Letting him go would save them $6.75 million. As for Edwards, releasing him would free up $3.1 million. He's turning 30 in April and has been dealing with injury issues since the 2024 offseason, so it might make sense to move on from him too. Another name to keep an eye on from Over the Cap's top 100 cut candidates list is Alohi Gilman. Technically, the Chargers could save $4.5 million by cutting him, but honestly, it doesn't seem likely. Defensive coordinator Jesse Minter really likes the rotation of Derwin James, Elijah Molden, and Gilman. Plus, Hortiz even mentioned using that 3-safety rotation with Gilman just last week at the NFL Combine. So, it's probably not happening, and the last option seems less likely than the first two, but it's still worth mentioning. The Chargers could restructure contracts for Justin Herbert or Derwin James. Restructuring Herbert's deal could save $11.06 million, and doing the same with James would free up $7.8 million. That said, with the Chargers already sitting on nearly $100 million in cap space, it doesn't seem like they'd borrow from the future unless absolutely necessary. But if they were looking to pull off something bold, like trading for DK Metcalf while also spending big in free agency, restructuring could give them more flexibility. As for Herbert specifically, I'd guess they'd hold off on restructuring his contract until they're in a tighter financial spot later on. Makes sense to save that move for when it's really needed. Moving forward, the Chargers will need to look at options to address the defensive gaps left by Bosa's departure. There are plenty of intriguing names in free agency, particularly at cornerback and edge rusher, which could help them bolster the defense if they're unable to retain Khalil Mack. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this offseason. As it stands, the only edge rushers on the roster are Tuli Tuipulotu and Chris Rumph II, making Mack's return absolutely critical. If the Chargers can't bring Mack back, the edge rushing unit becomes dangerously thin. Alarm bells should be ringing if that happens. Despite his age, Mack remains incredibly productive and a vital piece of the defense. He's still an elite run defender and a powerful presence on the field. However, if Mack's return doesn't happen, there are options in free agency that the Chargers could consider. A name like Josh Uche could quickly rise to the top of their target list. He's a versatile edge rusher who might help fill the void if both Bosa and Mack are no longer part of the picture. There are several other defensive free agents worth exploring as well, and the Chargers will need to be strategic about how they allocate their newfound cap space. Josh Sweat is another player I recommend Chargers to consider now. He could bring an immediate impact to the Chargers' defensive front, especially if they lose Khalil Mack, or need a capable edge rusher to pair with Tuli Tuipulotu. Sweat's ability to disrupt plays in the backfield, as shown in the Super Bowl, highlights the kind of talent the Chargers would want to bring in to maintain their defensive effectiveness. His projected contract of $18 million over 3 years is reasonable for a player of his caliber, especially when you consider the kind of production he brings on the edge. At 28 years old, Sweat is still in his prime and could provide a solid multi-year solution for the Chargers at a position that's always critical for success. The fact that he's played on a dominant defensive line also means he's accustomed to performing at a high level and understands what it takes to excel in crucial moments. That championship experience and mindset could be invaluable for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Overall, Sweat checks a lot of boxes for what the Chargers would need in a potential replacement for Mack or Bosa. He's productive, experienced, and still relatively young, making him a top target if the Chargers look to bolster their edge rusher position in free agency. Of course, he's just one of several options for the Chargers could explore, and with the free agency period quickly approaching, it will be interesting to see how the team prioritizes filling these key defensive roles. Baron Browning is certainly another productive edge rusher who can create impact plays, especially at a more affordable cost. His ability to generate pressure consistently, as evidenced by that 14.2% pressure rate, is something the Chargers could use to bolster their edge rushing unit without breaking the bank. He may not have the high sack totals that a player like Josh Sweat offers, but as a bounce-back candidate, Browning could provide great value for a team looking to fill out its depth chart. Plus, considering the Chargers' recent track record of finding success with bounce-back candidates on short-term deals, he seems like a natural fit. Ultimately, whether the Chargers decide to go big with a player like Josh Sweat or aim for value with someone like Baron Browning, their approach will shape the defensive identity heading into the 2025 season. The edge rusher market has several intriguing options, and it will be exciting to see how the Chargers prioritize their resources to address this key position group. So, guys, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section.